Five Sisters are here in the climber and walker's paradise of Kintail. No, that's not the Nolans stopping over at the Cluny Inn for a night on their way to a gig at Portree Town Hall. It is in fact a very famous ridge walk containing two of Scotland's most scenic Munros. It's a long hard day and we've started ludicrously early, which is why some of us are so grumpy.
The name Five Sisters is never used in Gaelic. It's called Evain Vor, the big mountain, to distinguish it from Evainatha, the long mountain across on the other side of Glenlich. As far as I know, nobody in Kintail ever says anything except Sgwr-Uren, which ought to be spelled U with a grav accent above it, R-A-I-N. Sgwr na Ciste Duya, the score of the black kist or chest. Probably the Kintail person will say Sgwr na Ciste Duya.
Excuse me. Well, because you step off the busy road straight onto that climb, there is pain involved. I'm sorry, I cannot lie to you, there is pain. But as we've learned in the Munro show, a steep climb means height gained very quickly. And should you stop for just a moment to cough up some phlegm or something, at least you can appreciate the South Glenshiel Ridge in all its glory and the very famous saddle behind me. It's the craggy one beside the pointy one. Oh, work it out for yourself, get a map. Oh, so grumpy. Well, this is our route. Again, the tops are in blue and the Munros in white. We start and finish on the A87, but rather far apart, as you can see. It's always a problem in ridge walking. Well, here we are on the ridge at last, and I think this is probably my favourite sort of mountaineering, ridge walking. You do all the hard slogging first thing in the morning and then just enjoy a lovely airy walkway for the rest of the day. And this is a really classic ridge walk, the Five Sisters of Kintail, although it's actually 6 peaks in total, but only 2 are afforded Munro status. Behind me you can see the first non-Munro peak, and then in the distance there with its head slightly in the cloud, that's the last Munro, Sgwr-Uren. But oh heavens, there's a long way to go before we reach that yet, because we've worked out in terms of vertical feet that we climb and descend, there's going to be over 10,000 feet. But it's 10,000 feet of the most fantastic walking. These hills are at their most dramatic and beautiful at the beginning or the end of the season, when there's a light dusting of snow and the air is clear and sharp for perfect visibility. But even in the summer, it's still a joy. The colours of the hills change beautifully through the greens of spring to summer purples to browns and oranges in autumn. Actually, the summit cairn of Sgwr na Ciste Duya, the hill of the black chest, 3,370 feet. But if you come a few yards west of it, you get a much better vantage point to look all around you. For instance, behind me you can see Glenshiel and Loch Cluny, and across there is the South Glenshiel Ridge, a magnificent walk when you can take in 7 Munros in one day. I did it in June and I would recommend doing it at that time of year if you want to give yourself lots of time and lots of light. We can see across to the rough bounds of Knoydart. I think you can just make out Sgwr na Ciste and unfortunately Larvins and Cloud there. But just to the right of that is the Forcan Ridge and the Saddle. And further round is the magnificent Ben Scriel. Then there's the hills that lead over to Glenelg. And right round to beautiful romantic Loch Duich and the road to the Isles. Well, the next top after that Munro is a lovely conical little peak from where you can look back and see exactly where you've been. Always a great pleasure on a ridge walk. Another really nice aspect of the Five Sisters of Kintail is that it's owned by the National Trust for Scotland, which means there's absolutely no access restrictions during that season when fat, ugly, grotesque men with far, far too much money come up to Scotland and slaughter defenceless animals for pleasure. It's called the stocking season, and it's called the stocking season because most of these buffoons went to public school and they have a penchant for wearing stockings and suspenders under their +4s. It's what makes them walk funny. Well, not bad today. This is 5 hours since we started and here we are on the second and the last Munro. This is the highest of the two, Sgururun at 3,505 feet. But don't be misled into thinking it's all over when you get here. It's still quite a long way to go yet. In fact, there's another 2 tops to do, but they're not Munros. We're not going to do the last one. We're going to descend after this next top and come down, which will bring us down onto the road 5 miles away from where we started. And since I don't fancy my chances hitchhiking with a purple runny nose and a multicoloured jacket, we've rather sensibly left a car down there. Now, the marvellous thing about doing this ridge from east to west is you end up with this picture postcard of a view, Loch Duich, the ocean and the islands beyond. Next week the Munro Show is in Torridon to climb magnificent Leagach. And we go up to Britain's highest mountain, Ben Nevis, but by an interesting route. Never stop. This isn't the longest I've waited for the lift. No. 17 days here.
Nothing.
What do you mean nothing?
5 months.
5 months?
5 months, aye.
Waiting for a lift?
Waiting for a lift.
Who gave you it?
Terry Logan eventually came along.
Oh, that's quite good then.
It was alright, but I was in front seat 5 minutes and then asked me to move into the back, make room for somebody else.
Another guest? What did you do when you found out that you weren't selling a book?
Yeah, that was it, in the back seat.
Of course. No, it's always the way, isn't it?
I'm looking up at you.